glory to his name. There to my heart was the blood applied. Thank God for Jesus. I say, I thank God for Jesus. Yeah, and all he is to us right now. Great day to be alive. Oh, I would have got more witnesses than that. It's a great day to be alive. I tell you what you do. You try not being alive one day and figure this out. It is a great day to be alive. Amen. The book is Philippians, chapter number is 4. Our focus is on verses 10 through 13. Thank Jaden for leading us in our responsive reading. Tremendous job. Philippians 4:10 begins by saying, "But I rejoiced in the Lord greatly, that now at the last your care of me hath flourished again, wherein you are also careful, but ye lacked opportunity. Now that I speak in respect of one, for I have learned, in whatsoever state I am, therewith to be content. I know both how to be abased, and I know how to abound. Everywhere in all things I am instructed both to be full and to be hungry, both to abound and to suffer need. I can do all things through Christ, which strengtheneth me." Amen. The flower is fading, the grass certainly is going to wither, but my Lord's word shall not return unto him void. I want to take this text for just a few minutes and talk about how to live and be happy. How to live and be happy. Thank you, ushers. You may be seated. I dare suggest strongly that if you were approached by someone who said unto you that they had the keys to living and being happy, it would pique your interest. Some would even say, "Let me have those keys." Because day in and day out, really all we want to do is be happy. The push and the pull of time and circumstances sometimes cause us to find ourselves sitting saturated with sadness. More often than not, we find ourselves down than we do up. I wanted to come today to strongly suggest to you that God has not called you from lostness to salvation and then demanded and commanded you be sad. Let me say it like this. To be a child of God does not mean I have to have a long face. To be a child of God really means I have tapped into the power and the resource to have joy unspeakable and full of glory. To be a child of God means that every day ought to be a day of thanksgiving. It ought to be a day of rejoicing. For the record is, this is the day the Lord has made. I shall rejoice and be glad in it. It is purposed by Jesus that our pilgrimage not be filled and peppered with so much pain. For he said the other day, "I've come that you may have life and have it more abundantly." Can I argue for a minute that I shouldn't have to wait to get to heaven at the feet of Jesus to have some happiness? I think joining up with Jesus ought to connect me with the things I need to enjoy life while here. Every now and then there ought to be a smile on my face. My hands ought to go up in praise, and my spirit ought to be filled with joy as I walk along this journey with Jesus. But more often than not, as I encounter those who claim to know that they've been changed, their countenance is always sad. Now, mind you, I know that every day won't be sunny and every day won't be filled with happiness. But I do come to tell you that in every situation, we ought to be able to give thanks to God. Not thankful for some circumstances, but I thank God that he's keeping me while I'm going through what it is I'm going through. The Apostle Paul here in this text writes unto the church at Philippi to encourage them, first of all, for their kindness. In verse 10, Paul thanked them for sending another gift. See what it was in that day. If you went to prison, the state didn't take care of you. You had to have some family or friends who would provide for your needs. And so the church at Philippi, the Philippian church, had sent not only money, but they sent men to minister to Paul while he was in prison. And for whatever reason, they wanted to send another offering, but the opportunity wasn't there. But Paul says, in essence, I did not complain that you didn't send. I did not beg. I just told God what I needed. You're going to catch that on the way home. Sometimes, instead of us being angry with those who can provide, we ought to talk to God, who is the great provider. Because see, so I figured out something about life. God does not have to send it through the people you wanted it to come from in order for it to get to you. Can I say it like this? He can take your enemy and let them bless you. I think they caught on to this idea in the early church, Fitzgerald, because they say, anyway you bless me, Lord, I'll be, any help in this house, I'll be satisfied. And so Paul here writes to them and thanking them in verse 10. He's being grateful for what they had done. And then Paul shares some stuff with them that I want to share with us to help about 5 of y'all quit looking like you're looking. I know the bills are due and the money is not there. I understand that. I know that you may be laid off your job. I understand that. I know that she seemed like she was going to be the one, and now it's like a nightmare on Elm Street. I understand all of that. I want you to understand, though, that God is in control. Let me say it like this. He is the one that controls our circumstances. And so Paul says here in the text, he says, now listen, I want to thank you all for what you gave, what you've given rather. I want to thank you for it because it was much appreciated. And he said, you were concerned about me, but you lacked the opportunity. And he said, don't get this twisted now. I'm not talking about previous gifts, trying to talk up on a gift. You know how sometimes when you be good to folk and then they come talking po-mouthing, hoping that you'll do something else for them. Paul said that's not the case here. He said, now I'm not trying to talk up on nothing. I'm just trying to tell you where I am. And God has me in a good place. Now, mind you, Paul is not conducting revival in Ephesus. He's in jail in Rome and shackled to a Roman soldier who cares nothing about God. And yet he can put pen to paper and write these words to encourage the believer. For he says, now listen, not that I speak in respect of want. He said, I really don't need nothing. The idea here is, he said, I'm not that bad off. This word want here is used also in Mark 12 round about verse 42, and he talks about the widow who gave out of her want, out of her penury, out of her poverty. She was so poor until she only had 2 mites. But she left both of them at church. I wish I had a witness here. And her giving had her highlighted by the master. For he says she has given more than everybody else in the worship experience because she's given out of her penury, out of her poverty. Can I tell you a secret here to help somebody shout right through here? God is not impressed by what you give. He's moving, motivated by what you have left. See, because a lot of us give out of our abundance. You talk to me if you can. And the church is the last place you drop off what you're going to give. Pay all of your bills, and you take pride in paying your bills on time, and you all do so. But I think you got a bill over here too. If the Lord has been as good to you as you say he has, if he's blessed you to pay all the other folk, I think the preacher told us we ought to make him first. Seek ye first. Now, I may not be able to pay him on Thursday, but I set him aside. Gonna catch it on the way home. Look, in my heart, I count that God got his first. It may be in the account until I get to church on Sunday, if I don't want to do it electronically on Givelify, because if I'm on Givelify, I can just bless him anytime I get ready. Y'all ain't talking to me. But in my heart, I don't take tithe money and offering and turn it to shoe money. Can I go and just preach since you're looking at me like that? I don't take tithe money and turn it into barbecue money. If I set it aside for God, it's dedicated to him. And when I get here, I drop it off. So when I get over here on Sunday, since I know I was coming on Friday when I got paid, I don't spend all my money doing other stuff. Preach, Larry. I bring the tithe and the offering. And see, when you get to a certain level of giving, Jones, you stop counting dimes. And you just move to proportional giving. You give based on how God has been good to you. And he's been better to me than a dime out of every dollar. He's been better to me. He's been better to me. And I'm not going to be pulling hairs and saying, well, 90 cents for me, dime for God. No. I'm just going to look at it and say, okay, this is what he gave me. This is what I'm going to give him. And it's going to be more. Why more, Larry? Why more? Because he told me that if I would just give that, then he wouldn't hand me stuff back. Let me just teach a while ago. He said, I'll open up the windows of heaven. And any building, save this one because of our construction of it, any building has more windows than it does doors. He said, I'll open up the windows of heaven and I'll pour you out a blessing that you won't have room to receive. What does that blessing look like? I'm glad you want to know. Because it's not always cars, clothes, and cash. Sometimes it's a sane mind. Sometimes it's not going to the doctor office. Sometimes it's making my enemies my footstool. Sometimes it's waking up another day. Sometimes it's just getting some more air to breathe while I'm alive. That's why some folks don't tithe, because they put the 10th in and wait on the check. And God bless us and so many other. None of us can pay for a day. If you put your whole check in the offering, it wouldn't be enough to pay for a day. That's why God gives them to us. And after receiving that gift, then I'm willing to give generously for the kingdom, because really this is where I plan on spending the rest of my life. And so Paul said, now, I am not that bad off He said, "Well, I've been in school. Everybody ought to be in the school of life." He said, "For I've learned in whatsoever state I am." See, I want to tell 5 of y'all in here. As soon as you get through shouting and praising the Lord, circumstances will tap you on the shoulder. And it's something else you got to deal with. So there is no cure-all for trouble until you leave here. And since you're so in love with being here, because you putting all your stakes here, you building as if you're going to be here forever. He said, "I've learned in whatsoever state I am therewith to be content." So here it is. First thing you got to do, if you're going to live and be happy, you got to stop comparing. This mess up so many of us and cheapen what God has placed in you and how he so beautifully and wonderfully designed you. It is. He's given a person an ability or a gift or a talent to do something. And I'm so envious of what they have until I can't appreciate what God has placed in me. God does not make carbon copies. He makes originals. And what he's placed in you, he has not placed in anybody else. And can't nobody else do what God has placed you here to do. And you ought not to be on the sidelines sulking because it seems like he's done more for somebody else. Take a little time and discover what he's already done for you. God has given ministries to myself and to other ministers, and I don't have time to be angry at them because it seems like God has done something better for them. What I need to learn to do is use the gift he's given me. I discovered something the other day, and I wanted to hold on to it. I wanted to remember so I could tell y'all this. I discovered the other day, can't nobody beat me being me. 4 or 5 of y'all missed your shout cue right along through there. Because you can't appreciate what's God's work in somebody else until you understand what he's done for you. I got to stop comparing myself to others. I mean, you're who you are. God didn't make no mistake. He knew exactly what he was doing when he done it. And so many of us, every time we meet people, we can't speak from looking them up and down. Don't have no kind of appreciation for the encounter because the first thing we got to do is check out what they got on and decide then whether we're going to speak to them today or we're going to deal with them today, we're going to fool with them today, and then don't let somebody have on something similar or exactly like what you now got on my dress. No, she don't have on your dress, she got on her dress. They just made more than one dress when they made your dress. And so we gotta grab a hold to this thing. You know, I bought the car, then their cars come off an assembly line. They just make them, and sell them to whoever got credit and money to buy them. They didn't sell your car. Now, if you don't want to buy driving your car, then you make your car that can't nobody else make, and that be your car. But now you go to Ford, you go to Mercury, you go to Mercedes, BMW, they just make them, and they don't care who drive them. So quit not speaking to me because I bought a car and you didn't. Gonna catch it on the way home. All of a sudden, we just don't like folk because we are narrow-minded in our comparing of ourselves with somebody else. I am too valuable to God to deduce myself to the level of not speaking to you because of what you have on. Now, I got the right church. I checked the address. We'll just be up hump and arms folded and lips poked out and say, what's wrong with you? She thinks she's something. Or look at him. He think he it. He must be. You noticing it. I done told y'all one time, I'm going to tell you 2 times. Look in the mirror and encourage yourself. Every now and then I have a talk with me and agree with me that I look good. I didn't ask for your opinion. You ain't gonna like, ooh, no. See, that's what that helps me be insulated from folk like you that want to deal with me when you want to deal with me. Stop comparing. You spend as much time exhibiting what God has put in you as you do comparing what you think he didn't. Look, God did not want me to sing like Jackie Rogers. He wanted Jackie Rogers to sing like Jackie Rogers. And oh, what a gift it is in him. You know what I figured out though? To sing like Jackie Rogers, I have got to have gone through all he's been through. Y'all ain't listening to me. And when I listen to some folks' testimony, I really don't know if I can handle what they've been through to get where they are. Preach, man. Because you don't understand some shouts. Because you can't comprehend some stories. See, some of us come in here on automatic. Every time you start talking about how good he been, we just go popping up. Our hand go to waving, our mouth go to opening, our feet go to patting. We just get excited about somebody talking about Jesus. Stop comparing yourself with others. Then stop comparing stuff. You pass by, nice looking house on the outside. You don't know what it's taking to stay on the inside. I wish I had some help. And you come down that street talking about, oh, they got to be. You don't know. You don't know what's going on. And it may not be caviar, maybe peanut butter and jelly. You don't know. You think they living large. Man, you follow some of these folk home. Then you'll find out that you don't want to live there. Because at least where you live, folks speak to folk. Folk hug folk and tell them they love one another. You don't. Some of these mansions ain't nothing but hotels and cafeterias. We just live in the same place, eat in the same place, sleep in the same place. Talk to me if you can. Trying to free 4 or 5 of y'all in here because you still mad because you got the little 2-bedroom apartment. God may be holding you there for a reason. I've learned not to be so quick to want to push off from where God is keeping me. I think I told y'all last Sunday, sometimes he puts you in a holding pattern. And you want to make sure you stay in that pattern while he's holding you there, because if you come out too early, you're going to be like some folk I know, mad because they heard about somebody else's stuff. Man, I get so excited when I hear of others and how good God been to them. Man, when I hear folks talking about they got grandbabies, I just get happy for them, man. They talking about their children getting married and all these folks. Congratulations to everybody who got somebody graduating. I just get excited for folk who are doing well and God is blessing them. And I'm not sitting over here talking about, well, I don't like them because, look, I want to cheer you on because I know if you get the moving, the line keeps moving, and sooner or later, in his own way, when he get ready, he gonna do something for me that's gonna be for me. Paul said, I've learned in whatever state I am to be content there. So the first thing you got to do is you got to, first of all, stop comparing. Stop looking at people trying to figure out how much they paid for it. But then come out your pocket and really, it shouldn't matter what it costs. I mean, now watch this now. I know you don't do this, but watch the next time somebody walk up to you, watch what they do. First thing they're going to do, they're going to look you up, head to toe, and then they're going to speak. And what they perceive will determine how they proceed. Boy, I'm going to holler by myself. We can't enjoy our blessing because you looked on somebody else's plate and their piece of pie looked larger than yours. So now you upset with the waiter because your pie ain't big as my pie. You all thank God that you don't have as many calories to deal with as I have to deal with. And then stop comparing situations. Because he looks like Denzel, Billy D, and all of them in a package. And you thought, oh, I just wish he would call me. I wish he were my husband. You come by one night. And after you get through being called out your name and your mama name and your daddy name and all your kinfolk name, you'll find out that he ain't all he's. She don't need that man. She don't deserve that man. I deserve that man. You don't know about that man. Everything glitter ain't gold. Situations. Child, if I had what they had, then my life just be set. You better think about this thing. Think it through clearly. Yeah. Think it through clearly. She looks fine. But you might be better off with the one that you trying to overlook, because she could be cute and can't cook. Now I ain't nobody I'm talking, because he might be handsome and won't work. You know, some pretty boys are pretty all the time. He might be a little heavy, but he'll clock in every day. Am I preaching to anybody in here? You better, hey. It's rough right along through there because we are comparing this, that, these, and those. So if we're gonna be happy, you gotta stop comparing and start appreciating and appraising what you already have. See, real men don't check phones, they check oil, transmission, and gas, and tires. They are protectors and providers. Real men are. So stop complaining about, you know. I'm going to get some help in a minute. If you're going to be happy, you got to get out the comparing business. If you're going to be happy now, you got to get out the comparing business. Because I know most of us, the majority of us didn't walk over here. We came in some mode of transportation. And whatever you came in, bless you. But it doesn't make you any more than me. Because right now, we don't know how we got here. I can't look at you and tell what you rode up in. So ain't no sense me getting upset with you because you driving what you driving. Because I don't know what your papers is. Mine 0. They keep talking about come on over. I ain't coming over. If it cranks and it rolls, it's on. One of my friends asked me recently, he said, man, when are you going to ever get another truck? I said, when this one die. And I'm doing all I can to keep it on life support. Because I found out something. What you drive don't make you preach no better. What you drive don't make you sing no better. What you drive don't make you praise no better. Second thing, unless I keep us too long. Somebody in here want to be happy. Man, you got to stop letting other folk determine your happiness. So man, Joker found out he makes you happy. You just like a little puppet on a string. And not a string, but a string. And so the second thing you got to do now, you got to stop being obsessed with having more. Boy, Pastor preaching today. When we were young, somebody lived on this street. You would fix your plate, but you would be told that if you put it on the plate, you are going to eat it. Have I witnessed it? And Mama would say, don't let your eyes be bigger than your, y'all didn't live with me, did you? Than your belly. And some of us in here, our eyes are bigger than our budgets. See, the salesman don't care about whether you can keep it or not. They just trying to make the sale. They don't care if you lose it, just as long as you're within the numbers. And some of us in here, we are obsessed with having more. Don't never know when we have enough. Just let's think about them closets right quick. You can add when the children leave, so you can take that room and put stuff in there. Who in here is obsessed with having more? Until you can't focus in on what you already have. Some children, they just obsessed with more and more and more and more, and they got parents who feed that obsession. Don't mind you giving your kids nice things, but it ought to be a limit to where nice stops. Because you can't get nice things from me and then talk to me any kind of way. You can't, what you aggravate me, bother me, and I'm supplying you? I have to catch myself sometimes, John, when I'm around other folk that don't even know them, and they call their children, and the children say, something just happens to me. I want to snatch a knot in them for them. I said, can I do it? Let me have them here for a minute. I'm breaking my back to make sure you have, and you're going to harm me? Holler back, young folk, if you can. We were taught respect. Yes, ma'am, no, ma'am, and it didn't carry no color connotation. If they were an elder, you said yes, ma'am, no, ma'am, yes, sir, no, sir, and to be sure you said it to some that didn't deserve it. And I came here, I was pretty young when I came here, and 4 or 5 of y'all wanted to act like you were younger than you were. And I was saying yes, ma'am, to 4 or 5 of y'all in here. But baby, don't keep saying yes, ma'am to me. Say yeah, no. I'm like, you're a yes, ma'am, though. And you really a yes, ma'am, though. I can't help it, because when I look at you, I see yes, ma'am. You may feel a not yes, ma'am, but you're a yes, ma'am. What is it, if you could have more of, what is it that you're obsessed with having more of? Is it tangible or is it intangible? Is it more money or more peace? See, if the thing that you're really after, is it something you can see, touch, taste, and feel? It will not last. I don't care what they say, it'll change on you. And we're obsessed with having more of this and more of that. Sometimes I go in the room where my clothes are and I just get sick and tired of all the stuff that's in there. It's my fault that I got shoes that I hadn't worn this year. Talk to me if you can. And got other stuff I hadn't worn this year. That's a whole lot of stuff. I'm talking about me. So I have to fight you later. But I got some more folk in here that can agree with me that we have way more than we really ought to have, and we still buying. Yes, we are. We're still buying. And are getting mad if you won't help us buy. Having more. Can the preacher ask a question without you getting angry? When is enough enough? I pleaded with my children before they left home. I said, can you do one thing for daddy? Can you get into this not buying a car every other year? I said, if you can do that, you're going to get further down the road than I got. Because I thought I had to have something new all the time. And all I had to do was go to AutoZone, O'Reilly, or one of them car places and get $1.89 air freshener that has new car smell scent. Y'all ain't listening to me. Clean up the car I got, hang that up in there, and when you get in there, it'll smell new. See, y'all don't like me now. Cause I just talked somebody out buying that new car. Just save you a whole lot of payments. It's called new car smell. $1.89. Hang it up in there, it'll smell just like a new car. Now y'all know I ain't bothered about how y'all looking at me, right? I thought I would help some folks because they looking at me like, I just don't believe. Yep, said it. Third and finally. If you're going to live and be happy, you got to stop comparing. You got to stop being obsessed with more. And thank God. That's why he said when you pray, give us this day our daily bread. See, some want more so they can be free of depending on somebody. If I had this, I had that, I wouldn't speak to nobody. Paul said, I've learned that whatsoever state I'm in, therewith to be what? Content. Verse 12, he said, now I know knowledge, experience, both how to be abased. That word abased has the connotation and the idea of a river running low. So Paul said, I learned how both, first of all, to run low. See, don't let what you have make you who you are. See, be who you are without what you have, so when you don't have what you have, you'll still be you. See, if I'm who I am based on my stuff, when my stuff decay, I'm lost. And so many of us, our identity is based on tangible things. Paul said, I've learned how to run low. I know how to abound everywhere. In all things, I'm instructed. Life has taught me both to be full and to be hungry, both to abound and suffer need. So you deal with your friend, they'll ultimately become fake. Your family will ultimately fail you. Possessions will come and go. And sometimes you go and the possession have to go. You ain't an 18 no more. You ain't a 10 no more. You ain't a 42 long no more. You got to you got to expand and increase and then talk about how it used to be. Fame is fleeting. The same people that cheer you will condemn you. Pleasure, no matter how good it is, comes to an end. We have to learn, thirdly, to accept change. If you were to awaken in the morning and your roof was an overpass and your bed was cardboard and your walls were the outer doors, could you still be who you are? If you couldn't put on makeup every morning, if you couldn't get your hair cut every week, would you still be who you are? Without the man and the petty, could you still be who you are? Without the finer things of life you've become accustomed to, your purchasing power. I call those, I thank God for purchasing power. 3 of y'all gonna catch that on the way home. I went the other day to buy gas and shouted at the gas pump because the computer said approve. You ain't gonna help me. And it was not that I had fear that I couldn't make the purchase, but I got happy because I was in a position to do it. Because I ain't always been where I could go and write the check or swipe the card and not worry about the balance. Am I preaching anybody here? It ain't always been something left after I got through. Sometimes I got to wait until the day of before I do this because I got to wait for that money to hit because ain't no money in there. So if you got purchasing power, you ought to shout hallelujah. Thank God for just being able to buy what I want to buy. Yes, there are some folk that pulling a game out there talking about we work for food, but there are some folk that are hungry. And look what God did to you. He gave you so much you threw it in the trash. You let it spoil in the refrigerator. You bought it, took one bite, said my appetite changed. So you don't know how blessed you are. I ain't got time to fool with y'all. You don't know how blessed you are. When folks don't get but a bowl of rice and some water a day, in third world countries. And you come home and say, what's the dinner? And they give you the menu and that's all. You don't know how blessed you are. Paul said, I've learned, life have taught me how to run low, and we have ran low, and he's taught me how to abound. See, some folks can't handle adversity. They can't handle not having. They married for love and then figured out they needed money. And so now, since there's no money, there's no love. Paul said, I've learned how to do it. When I'm up, I'm up. When I'm down, I'm down. I don't let where I'm at change who I am. If I'm broke, you'll never know. If I'm hungry, I wouldn't tell you. Paul said, I've learned how to do this thing. Do I have anybody here that have learned how to handle some burden? See, some of these folk in here going through so much that they told you to blow your mind, but you don't know it, you don't see it, because they don't come around and let their circumstances circumvent their shout. If you're going to be burdened by what you got going on sometime, you're going to be a real sad case. Out of all the things we've been through, we still got joy. You can't take my joy. You might take my car. You can't take my joy. You might repossess my house, but you can't get my joy, because the joy I have, you didn't give it to me, and you sure can't. You're not speaking to me and not going to affect my joy. You're not shaking my hand, not going to affect my joy. It's going to be one less hand to shake. Because 10 of y'all trying to decide if you're speaking to me after the service, I can help you out. It's not going to change what I said. It ain't going to change what God meant. But you have to learn how to accept change. You just look, you had your 20s, you had your 30s. Anybody gonna talk back to me? You got to embrace aging at some point. Gravity has taken over with a lot of us, and time has done some things with us, and we have to look back and say, oh, when? Ain't no sense you 80 and acting 20. You 55, walk around with your shirt open. Nobody want to see all them gray hairs. Close your shirt up and come on here. You got to embrace. Sometimes you got to embrace where you are. And I'm not going to be angry at the Ivory because he's in his 20s. He's young and he's gifted and he got things going on. I'm not mad at him, what God is doing for him. I think that I should have done better with mine. So I'm going to make these 50s be golden. Y'all ain't. And get ready for these 60s, because if I ain't in them, I ain't here. Anybody going to help me close? You got to embrace this idea that, hey, you are who you are. I told y'all about that fella in the gym that day. I wanted to fight that man. I was in there working out, minding my own business, doing the best I could. And he walked up to me and said, you handling this right here, OG? I had to pause, look around, and see who else was in there. Now I figured out that wasn't nobody else in there. I said, no, I'm not doing it. Go ahead and help yourself. I had to embrace where I was. You 50 plus, you can't be talking about you was it. And then I started embracing the fact that I am an OG, because most OGs are in the ground. Anybody here aging, embracing it gracefully, thanking the Lord for every day? Yes, glory, hallelujah, I'm still here. still here. I ain't mad at you because you can still move it. Go on, help yourself. I ain't finna break my back, throw my back out trying to keep up with you. Paul said, I've learned whatsoever state I'm in, therewith to be content. Some of us can't handle adversity. But then I got the other side of the coin. Some of us can't handle prosperity. The Lord can't cause some of us to prosper. Because we get $2 above dinner, we suffer from bad eyesight. We get $2 above dinner, we change company. Now, if I was with you when you were broke, I ought to be good enough to be with you when you have something. If I was the one that let you hold something when you didn't have nothing, I ought to be able to be with you when you got something. But I can't run with them no more because I got another job. I work at a different place. Well, now, when you didn't have a job, you stopped by my house and ate. But now all of a sudden, now you got a job, you don't even come by. Some of us can't handle prosperity. I would God that every time he caused my cup to run over, I still have enough grace to let somebody drink from my saucer. I say, I would to God every time he filled my cup till it overflowed, I'd have enough common sense to bless somebody who has less than I have. I would to God that when he raised me to another level, it would be making room for somebody to occupy the space that I had on their way up. I would be God that I would know how to handle prosperity. Maybe why some of us hadn't moved from where we are. Because God knows we can't handle being in a better place. Y'all remember Joseph, don't you? Yeah, he went through a lot of changes. But Brother Joseph learned how, to be content in whatever state he was in. His family turned on him. His father spoiled him. Then his brothers sold him. Potiphar's wife lied on him. Lord, the butler forgot about him. But God had him in his plan all the time. And so what Joseph decided to do was put his hand in the Lord's hand. What Joseph decided to do was trust in God because the Lord was going to bring him out all right. Sold in prison, down in Potiphar's house, in jail, forgot about by the butler. But one day the Lord got ready to elevate Brother Joseph, brought him out the dungeon and put him in the second chariot, riding down town in Egypt land, because he trusted in God. And lo and behold, by and by, those same brothers who sold him, the Lord put him back in Joseph's hand. Do you hear me? In that room when he met with them, the Bible say they didn't know who Joseph was, but Joseph could have killed them, had their heads taken from their bodies. But the Bible say he tried to hold back the tears, but he went in the room and told his brothers, I'm the one that y'all say is not. I'm the one that y'all tried to get rid of. And then all of a sudden his brothers got afraid. The Bible said they were afraid that Brother Joseph was going, yes Lord, to turn on them. But listen what Joseph says to his brother. He He said, well, you meant it for evil, but the Lord, he turned it to my good. Do I have a saint in the house who can be a witness that there have been times in your life when people tried to block you, but the Lord turned that blockade into a blessing? Have I got one witness here now who know God can do anything but fail? Yes, Lord. Joseph said, you tried to block me, but the Lord has blessed me. Come on and be a witness if you know God is able to bring you out. Good afternoon. I've kept you much too long, but listen what Paul said in verse 13. He said, I can do all things. Do y'all hear me? Through Christ that strengtheneth me. Yeah, Lord, I can make it when I'm broke, as long as I got my hand in the Lord's hand. Well, why can you make it, Larry, when you don't have resources? Because the earth is the Lord and the fullness therein. They that dwell upon the earth belong to the Lord, and God's gonna work it out. I say God's gonna work it out. If you trust in the Lord and do not doubt, he will only do it on his time. He's gonna work it out by and by. Yes, Lord. Paul said, I've been in trouble, but the Lord brought me out. I've been shipwrecked, but the Lord brought me out. Snake bit me one day. They took bets on me to drop dead, but the Lord gave me power. I shook him off and threw him in the fire. I've been whipped, but I'm all right with many stripes, and I'm getting ready to go to the chopping block, but I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. If I had 3 folk in the house who've been down to your last dime, but God brought you out, and you ain't ashamed to testify that you don't look like what you've been through. 12 of y'all in the house today can come on and be a witness that you ain't looking like what you going through. Sometimes I'm up and sometimes I'm down. Sometimes I'm level with the ground, but that's all right. I say it's all right. All right, because I'm gonna hold on. Anybody gonna hold on to God's unchanging hand? Won't he bring you out? Won't he do it? If you know the Lord will bring you out, and you ain't too mean to be a witness, why don't you wave that holy hand and testify? Let me hear you say, yeah! Shout yeah! Yeah! I'm gonna be happy. I'm gonna be happy because my happiness is not tied up with what I have. My joy is in who has me. I say my joy is into whom I belong. My joy is knowing that I'm a child of the King. Is anybody in the house that know you're a child of the King? Ain't God all right? Won't he bring you out? Won't he give you joy? Yeah. So the smile on your face don't necessarily have to be tied to your bank account. If you can but trust him. Yeah. You can but trust him and do not doubt. The Lord will. He'll turn it for you. I say he'll turn it for you. Won't he do it? Won't the Lord turn it around. Do I have anybody in here that can just be a witness that God will turn it around? Sure will. Sure will. Hey, yeah. Bless you. Bless you. He'll turn it. See, God doesn't have to. He doesn't have to change your address to turn it around. If you can just change your attitude, you can still live where you're living and have joy. You don't need that new whip. You could just make it in the one you're driving right now. Just change your attitude. And just wake up one day and tell life, look here, I'm tired of being pushed around. I ain't taking it no more. I'm standing up to you. I'm divorcing myself from my circumstances, and I'm trusting God.